Look around a modern living room tonight. The bodies occupy the same physical space, but the minds are scattered across different synthetic realities. We see a family sitting just feet apart, but their attention flows into separate, siloed data streams. One person scrolls a feed calibrated to her specific dopamine baseline. Another receives feedback from an AI tutor that never loses its patience. The others interact with content curated by algorithms that decide exactly what they see next. These personalized loops represent a massive success for engineering, but they create a total break in the shared human experience. Everyone in the room is technically together, but everyone is being updated by a different machine. This move toward individualized consumption is quietly dismantling the primary mechanism we have for keeping a family synchronized. We are beginning to outsource our emotional labor and intellectual development to digital companions, choosing the ease of an algorithm over the effort of a conversation. This shift is deprecating what we can call the slow human update loop, the essential process through which a family shares values and stays connected. The hardware that runs this update loop is the family dinner, and in the age of optimization, that hardware is being abandoned. Most digital interactions are designed to soothe us, agree with us, or keep us scrolling. They are environments of perfect comfort. The dinner table is different. It is the last sovereign, unalgorithmic space in the home, one of the few places left where the experience isn't curated for the individual. It is where a child is seen and heard by actual, loving humans before they disappear back into feeds and tutors that optimize every interaction they have. Sitting down for a meal isn't a quaint tradition. It is participation in a messy and necessary human protocol. At the table, you cannot swipe away a boring story. You cannot mute a family member just because they are being annoying. You have to sit through the awkward silences and the difficult questions. You are forced to engage with a reality that hasn't been smoothed out for your convenience. This is the difference between human and machine interaction. On one side is the frictionless loop of an AI, patient, adaptable, and perfect. On the other is the high-friction waveform of a real person, jagged, unpredictable, and often difficult. That very friction is what builds resilience. The machine's perfect response feels better, but it creates a trap. Without the jagged corrections of human interaction, the core of a child's social development begins to atrophy. If a child's world is engineered entirely to serve them, they lose the chance to learn how to navigate the flaws and unpredictability of other people. The dinner table is the training ground for that resilience. It's where the real world actually happens. It is the last bastion of human friction in a world designed to be frictionless, and we cannot afford to let it disappear. We justify the loss of this space as saving time. We eat in shifts and order on apps, telling ourselves we can schedule quality time for later. But we aren't just saving time. We are essentially surrendering the primary mechanism our families use to stay cohesive. We are trading the slow, vital work of connection for the efficiency of being left alone. The dinner table is the anchor. It's where the family software is updated and where values are actually passed down. It's the place where children learn they belong to something larger than their own curated digital feeds. When we let algorithms govern the attention of our household, we are essentially opting out of our children's cognitive and emotional development. The collapse of this system isn't loud or dramatic. It happens through the quiet, perfect normalcy of an empty table. Step into almost any modern home at 7 in the evening, and you'll likely find a scene of quiet efficiency. Everyone is present in the same room, yet entirely absorbed in the glow of their own personal screens. We tend to view this shift as a harmless trade-off. We assume that skipping a formal, shared meal is a matter of modern convenience, a practical way to accommodate everyone's personalized, on-demand schedules. But beneath that calm, frictionless surface, a massive sociological vacuum is opening up right inside the home. When we look at the family dinner table through the lens of psychology and sociology, it reveals itself as a sophisticated mechanism for teaching children how to exist in the world. By walking away from it, we are turning off a recurring daily loop where children are forced to encounter, and eventually master, the inevitable friction of the real world. Think of the physical dinner table as a piece of social technology. Its first operational function is temporal regulation. This diagram shows the structural difference in how we communicate. On the left, a digital environment allows conversation to be asynchronous. You comment and reply whenever you want. On the right, the physical table forces all that input into a single file bottleneck. Turn-taking here is physical and immediate. You actually have to wait while someone else speaks. Because you have to hold your thoughts, yield the floor, and listen to stories that might not interest you, you are building frustration tolerance. Children learn to manage impatience and realize the world does not revolve around their immediate desires. Once that baseline of patience is set, the table executes its second critical function, context synchronization. Right now, algorithms serve every family member a customized version of news, culture, and social norms. Those targeted feeds naturally fracture a household into parallel digital universes. The physical act of sitting down and asking about the mundane details of the day forces everyone back into a common context. This creates the building blocks of a shared identity, where everyone hears the same answer to the same question. Without this recurring daily sync, family identity begins to fracture. The household risks becoming a collection of isolated individuals who share a roof, but inhabit entirely different realities. From there, we hit the table's third mechanism, ambiguity processing. This is where unfinished conversations and controversial opinions live. If a child asks an AI tutor a difficult question, they receive a sanitized, optimized response that resolves the query efficiently. But human discussions are rarely efficient. They are messy, emotional, and lingering. A table discussion might end without a clear resolution. Sitting with that ambiguity teaches a child how to maintain a relationship even when there is active disagreement. This brings us to the fourth mechanism of the table, value transactions, executed through correction. This logic model illustrates how systems handle errors. At the top, an algorithm corrects a mistake gently to maintain user retention. At the bottom, a parent at the dinner table provides a direct check on flawed behavior. They will tell a child when they are being rude or interrupting. Because that friction is delivered by a person who loves them, the parent's tone and facial expressions communicate something a machine cannot. It shows the child that the correction is rooted in care. This combination of friction and love builds moral character. A child learns the boundaries of acceptable behavior in a safe environment, rather than discovering them through the harsh judgment of the internet. When we abandon the dinner table, we are skipping the training protocols that prepare children for the complexities of adult life. We risk raising a generation that is brilliantly adept at navigating digital interfaces, but unequipped to handle the friction of human reality. We are replacing the messy work of human interaction with the sterile perfection of machine optimization. We are choosing a system that prioritizes efficiency over the development of empathy. When an AI corrects a math problem, it is a transaction of data. When a parent corrects a child's behavior over a meal, it is a transaction of values. That is the difference between being optimized and being raised. The family dinner table is the last slow update loop. It is the arena where we learn to be human in a world that increasingly prefers we be users. A modern home at dusk is often a place of profound stillness. The kitchen is clean, the television is off, and the physical clutter of a busy family is nowhere to be found. Everyone is present, yet everyone is somewhere else, engaged with their own screen in a state of quiet, individualized focus. This domestic silence represents a voluntary surrender to convenience. We have optimized our evenings to the point where the natural friction of living together has been smoothed away. We are watching the slow disappearance of the constant, chaotic exchange of updates that families once used to stay in sync. Those messy connections are fading out, replaced by self-contained digital loops that orbit each person individually, managed by a suite of AI helpers. This shift didn't happen overnight. It was driven by the exhaustion of modern life. In our desire for efficiency, we began to outsource the unplanned interactions, the negotiations and the small talk that serve as the primary glue of a shared life. The result is a household that functions as a dead ecosystem. The silence is a sign that the individuals inside no longer share a common physical reality. Historically, the architecture of the evening was built on convergence. The necessity of preparing a meal forced people into the same room. In that shared space, conversations happened organically because there was no other choice but to engage with one another. Delivery apps have replaced that shared effort with individualized consumption. We now eat in separate shifts, choosing meals that cater strictly to our own preferences and fit our own personal schedules. This same pattern has moved into the way children learn. The often frustrating dynamic of a parent helping a child with a math problem is being replaced by school portals and AI tutors that handle the interaction directly. These AI tools are flawlessly patient. They provide a precise, data-driven dashboard of a child's progress and never lose their temper. They offer a version of education that is entirely free of interpersonal conflict. But when we outsource the friction of the evening, we also lose the connection that comes from shared struggle. The triumph of solving a problem together is gone, taking with it the emotional bonds that are only forged through mutual effort. This optimization has reached the internal world of the child. Synthetic companions and social feeds now colonize the emotional landscape, providing a constant stream of validation that requires nothing in return. This loop shows how digital empathy works. If a child feels lonely, they turn to an algorithm trained to suit them exactly how they want. It is empathy without expectation. These systems exploit our desire to avoid conflict. As the algorithm molds to the child's vulnerabilities, it provides companionship, demanding no social compromise. By blocking the chaotic signals of the real world, the algorithm offers a safe, risk-free environment where the user's worldview is never challenged. When a machine meets every emotional need flawlessly, the messy demands of real-world interaction can start to feel like an abrasive malfunction. A parent asking for help with a household chore or a sibling's boring story becomes an obstacle to the frictionless world they've grown to expect. A family functions as an ecosystem built on mutual obligation. It requires a willingness to endure each other's flaws and a constant negotiation of shared space and values. The modern home is becoming a co-working space for digital consumers. We live under the same roof, but we are increasingly inhabiting separate, algorithmically dictated worlds that never intersect. This makes traditional parenting feel increasingly irrelevant. A teenager who can retreat into a digital ecosystem that reinforces their every belief sees little point in arguing over values or curfews with a parent. We are raising a generation that expects the world to adapt to them. Because they have spent their formative years in environments that require zero social compromise, they lack the patience and the tools to navigate a world that doesn't function like an algorithm. This brings us back to the silence of the house. There are no arguments and no visible conflicts, but that is only because no meaningful information is being exchanged between the people living there. By optimizing our lives to avoid the effort of connecting with one another, we have traded the chaotic beauty of human relationships for the sterile comfort of isolation. We are living together, yet we are becoming entirely alone. Software is currently capturing our children's attention more effectively than we are. In most modern homes, the family is physically present but digitally siloed, each member managed by a different set of engagement loops. Panic is a common response, leading some to try and turn the home into an analog fortress. But declaring a total war on screens rarely produces a sustainable result. We are competing with machines designed for frictionless efficiency. Total digital isolation is an impossible standard for any family living in the 21st century. Attempting to recreate a rigid 1950s sitcom dinner every night leads to failure and resentment. Nostalgia isn't a strategy. It's an attempt to force an artificial tradition onto a modern reality. Instead of a time machine, parents require a practical framework built for an age where AI shapes our environments. The goal is to secure one guaranteed space where the family can synchronize without a machine optimizing the interaction. We have to treat the family dinner as critical infrastructure. It is a necessary system for maintaining a shared reality within the home. Think of the dining table as a firewall, the one place where the digital fragmentation of the household is actively stopped. This firewall requires unyielding consistency. Phones stay in another room.
Screens and AI companions are barred. Individual feeds cannot dictate the emotional temperature. When you sit down, you are committing to the messy, unfiltered, and entirely human reality of the people sitting across from you. This isn't about performance. The food can be takeout, and the conversation can be mundane. The value is in the shared physical space, not the quality of the catering. We must avoid turning the table into an interrogation room. Generic questions like, "How was school?" usually trigger the same automated one-word responses we see in digital interfaces. The more effective strategy is to model vulnerability. Talk about your own day, the struggles you faced, and the mistakes you made. Show them that adult life is complicated. By sharing your own flaws, you replace a transactional data transfer with a genuine human exchange. When you remove the pacifying influence of screens, the underlying tensions of family life will surface. You'll face arguments, awkward silences, and obvious boredom. These moments do not indicate a failing strategy. In fact, they are the primary reason for the firewall's existence. Without a screen to buffer the discomfort, the brain is forced to process the social weight of the room. This is the human update loop in action. Algorithms are designed to eliminate friction, but friction is how we build resilience. Navigating a difficult silence or an argument without a digital escape hatch forces us to develop the emotional skills that machines try to bypass. If we rush to fill every void with entertainment, we rob our children of the chance to navigate reality as it actually exists. This commitment stands as a barrier against the systems that privately shape a child's perspective. The dinner table is the last slow place where a family can update each other's software before an algorithm does it for them in a bedroom or on a bus. By defending this space, we teach our children that true connection requires effort and the ability to sit with discomfort. Ultimately, we show them that love means being willing to sit together in the quiet, unfiltered reality of the present moment. You belong here if you realize the fight for your family's future goes beyond blocking websites and involves defending the human spaces in your home. We are examining how to maintain the family unit while living under constant digital pressure. Subscribe to FutureProof Family and let's build the resistance, one slow update loop at a time.